Hour being 6:01 p.m. I call to order the City of Laconia City Council budget meeting. Before we go any further, though, I'd ask you to join Councilor Haynes in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Councilor Haynes. We're joined this evening by Recording Secretary, City Clerk, Kitty Gargano. Ask her to please call the roll.
Councilor Susie?
Here.
Councilor Hoffman?
Present.
Councilor Haynes?
Here.
Councilor Bogart?
Here.
Councilor Felch?
Here.
Mayor Houseman?
Present. We're also joined by City Manager Kirk Beati. And this evening we're going to get a presentation from the school department. So, welcome. Step right up and have at it. Who's first?
I got the short end of the stick. Do I need to use this?
Yes, and
Yes.
just
How's
for
that?
recording purposes and to get your voice out to whoever might be at home watching.
All right, is that all right? You can hear me okay? Hi, everybody. Good evening. I am Jennifer Anderson, and I serve as the Vice Chair at-large representative for the Laconia School Board. And at my right is...
I'm Nick Grennan, Ward 5 and the chair.
Thank you.
And we just wanted to come up, and I had asked Nick if it was all right that I had done this last year, that if I could try it again, just because I had so much fun being up here with all of you. So he graciously said that I could do that. And just as a quick opener, I know all of you know what goes into budget preparation on top of everything else that you're doing year round. And I know you know who is finessing and working all of that. You also know that the Laconia School District faced a significant cut to the budget, and I think that you will see tonight in tonight's presentation that we have not easily but successfully mitigated this scenario in a way that does not negatively and directly impact students, and that is who we are working so hard for every day. Through the efforts of Superintendent Champlin, Assistant Superintendent Hines, and the real star of the show, Business Admin Clary, who will be leading the presentation, and the amount of work and probably tears that I did not witness, but I'm sure lots of interesting adjectives went through the process. And so we are very proud to be able to share this with you tonight and look forward to doing so. So thank you again for your time and for your support of our students, our staff, teachers, and community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both very much. Thanks for your service as well.
As Jen said, I am Business Admin Diane Clary, and you have the presentation in your handouts that Nancy Brown gave you, and I'm just going to talk from those. I want to also thank you for your service to the City of Laconia. You're greatly appreciated. Our presentation this evening is a bit different from the past few years. We have been fortunate to receive ESSER funds since 2020. And we're able to accomplish great things for the school district. Sadly, the ESSER funds ended last September. Our funding challenge for the next year is great, and we've worked hard to make adjustments and still continue to do great things for our students. The biggest hurdle to overcome for 25-26 budget year is the reduction in state funding for Laconia. State funding includes adequacy, special education, and business and building aid. These were reduced by approximately $1.2 million. The adequacy formula that the state uses has many moving parts, but the largest two items impacting our funding are free and reduced eligible families and our equalized valuation for the City of Laconia. As you know, there have been several building projects for the city in the last couple of years, and that has added to the overall evaluation, which is great for the City of Laconia, but it negatively impacts education funding. Additionally, the number of parents filling out the free and reduced application has fallen off since COVID. If you remember, in COVID, kids ate for free. Kind of got used to that, and now we struggle to get parents to fill out the application. Our schools have plans in place now that they're working on to increase the number of applications that we get, and will continue next year. Unfortunately, that's not going to help our funding for next year. In order to honor our contractual obligations for salary and benefits, including a health insurance increase of almost 10% for the second year in a row, and other fixed costs that keep our buildings going, the lift was nearly $3 million. That's why I color my hair every 4 weeks. So there needed to be cuts, adjustments, and the use of our reserve accounts. Here's the remedy that we came up with to close the gap. We took up an approach to this in a way that would have the least impact on the direct services to students, using possible fund balance this year to help with next year's supplies and cutting the wants to supply the needs. We cut 5 positions that were not going to directly impact students, saving $562,000 by cutting those salary and benefits. We plan to replace retirees and resignations with a lower cost, newer teacher, so that would be an estimated savings of about $100,000. And we are pre-buying supplies for next year, this year. So each school is pre-buying $20,000 worth of supplies this year to use for next year's school year. We're using the little bit of fund balance that we have to do that. In addition, we are going to use money from the stabilization reserve account to offset the salaries for our 2 CBAs that were approved by the city council and that we are obligated to fulfill. And from the special education reserve account, we're going to take some money for large out-of-district placement. Bringing our net budget to within a few dollars of this year, just a 2.6% increase overall. We're fortunate that Laconia has healthy reserve accounts that we can lean on. Unfortunately, they won't last forever, and education funding will continue to be a challenge for us. We hope that you see that our budget is thoughtful and tax cap compliant while providing our students with an excellent education. I welcome any questions.
Questions from counselors?
Go ahead. Thank you, Mayor. You mentioned the 5 positions. Were those actually people that were cut?
There are
Laid
two,
off?
two actual people that were cut and 3 positions that were funded that hadn't been filled this year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Counselor Susie?
there's a comment on page 1, I'm just trying to understand definition. Total increased state school.
That's the SWEPT. So SWEPT is state school funding that we get. So that's the
That's
increase
school funding you get from the state.
from the state.
Okay. I'm just trying to get definitions.
It's not money we get from the school. We have to identify it through our budget, though.
Right.
So it's,
Right.
It's a weird,
Yeah, it's a funny way of funding education, but the SWEPT, they used to call it donations, cities and receiving, but it's really just a formula that takes the money and distributes to
Donor and donee cities.
right, the communities that need it. For example, Alton doesn't get any SWEPT because
so we're
they're
a major donee. Donor, you
Right.
could say.
right.
I've read through that adequate education fund, and I might have missed it, and if you could just, how does the state arrive at that figure?
So there's about 10 inputs they put in.
That's probably why I missed it.
Right, so there's an input for how many special education students you have. There's an input, obviously, for free and reduced eligible. That's how they determine the poverty level of a community, is their free and reduced numbers. Obviously, the equalized valuation of the community is part of that. There's percentages and different inputs that make it's very confusing, and every year
Okay.
I go through a training that shows me. If I brought my spreadsheet with you, I could show you each of the things, but it is quite an involved procedure for them to come to that amount. But the biggest two things, like I said before, is the free and reduced and the equalized valuation of the community.
So a larger community, say like Nashua or Manchester, they would get a smaller because they have more property and more.
They have more property, but they probably have more free and reduced eligible students.
All right.
So,
Counselor Felch, go ahead.
yeah, are we still around 70% on that?
No, we've dropped to about 50.
Oh, okay.
And that's partially people not filling out the application.
Yeah.
We're
that's
going to
too
try
bad.
and really put the hammer down on that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
So your earlier comment that the increases that we've seen in our development, right, in our, what the city manager does and, you know, how much we've had for property evaluation, you might say, that actually hurts you?
It hurts education funding because we have all those high-end properties that give us a bigger tax base. Those aren't families bringing kids that need free and reduced in. So that money is great for the city because your tax base has increased because of those properties. But because it has, we're less looked at as poverty.
Or is it poverty, right? Okay.
Right.
Is our population, has our school children population gone up or down?
We're about even. Right after COVID, we had a little dip, but we're at just over 1,800 students.
What has been the budgetary impact of the educational freedom accounts? Does that come out of the state money to Laconia, or
That
does
is-
that come out of the school budget?
So that is state money. It does affect our adequacy because we lose students. So you get a certain amount of money per student. It hasn't really impacted Laconia that much. We have very few that are taking advantage of it now, but the proposed changes in the legislation may change that.
Thanks.
I got a couple questions. So right now, we're at a 50% free and reduced lunch in the city of Laconia. And you think that might be higher if everybody took advantage of filling out the application?
Absolutely. The other part is that as a school district, we do not deny a child to eat, whether they owe $1 or $100. So parents know that we're always going to feed their children, which we should. That's important because children learn better when they've been fed. But it's a double-edged sword because there's no teeth that say you got to pay your balance, which our balance owes is over $50,000 this year.
So would it be fair to say 50% of our students attending public school in this city are at or below the poverty line?
Yes.
More than.
I think it's larger than that,
Yeah,
but
it is.
yes. There's, I think I said before, since COVID, it's been a struggle, not just for us, for all communities in New Hampshire, because there was free lunch for those 2 years.
Yep.
Not to blame COVID for everything, but.
So it was free lunch because of federal grants that passed through the state,
Right,
ended up here, and our SAU made sure that our kids, whether it was the 50% or more living at poverty or below poverty, ate.
everybody, yep.
And you might agree, though you're not a classroom teacher, is it the feeling of the school board and teachers that kids who are well fed are probably more learning ready than those that are hungry?
Yes. I used to be a classroom teacher.
So this idea of federal money coming into the city was pretty important then to these kids.
Yes, extremely so. Extremely so. I mean, really, since 2020, we have provided each student with a personal device to use, and that was all ESSER money. We have, we had extra teachers on to help kids recover from the learning loss that they had. The ESSER money was really a godsend for
ESSER
a lot
money
of
is
kids.
ARPA funding,
Yes,
came out of the COVID
yes,
packages, pandemic packages.
yes. And really, I predicted this fiscal cliff a couple years ago when the ESSER money went away.
So you're feeling the pain now of this funding being taken away.
Yes.
Does this just impact you personally?
Nope, not me personally. Certainly not me personally.
Who's paying the price
The taxpayers are paying the price at this point.
if we choose to feed the kids?
Right.
If we don't feed the kids, then taxpayer wouldn't feel the pain, the kid would, right?
Right.
Okay. So going back to adequacy and special ed, can you tell me how that breaks out? I mean, it's my understanding on special ed, and I'd love to have correct me on this. If we have a student whose needs cannot be met in the district, a placement may occur outside the district to maybe Spalding Youth Center? Is that a possibility?
That's a possibility. We attempt to keep all our children in district. When we have an out of district placement, it's usually court ordered, and then we have really no
So
choice.
can you control the expenses when they leave district?
Amy's a better answer to that question.
Come on up, Amy.
So the easy answer is no. And so if the district makes the determination that we cannot meet the needs of a child, then we do look for an out-of-district placement, and the tuition can be anywhere from $90,000 to $475 for one child.
And that's just a bill that gets sent to the district and you pay it.
Correct. So for court-ordered students that are identified special education, if they're court-placed, then we have a cap, they call it a 402 cap, that we have to pay up to. And then after we reach that cap, then the tuition is paid by the state.
How's that compared to the average tuition for a student in
It's
public
much
school?
higher. So I think it is up to 68,000, that is that cap. And so we have our out-of-district placements through court have gone down in number a little bit, but that's still one of the highest line items in the special ed budget is that out-of-district tuition. I think we have probably 17 students that are placed and only 2 are district placements. But fortunately, we do have some students who are aging out, that once they reach the age of 22, they flip to adult services. And we also have some students that are plan right now to return to the district and kind of have their cases closed. So that's that reserve amount for the $400,000 from special ed.
So that's a $400,000 amount that is in a reserve account right now?
Correct. And
How
so-
much is total in that account now?
I have the reserve account numbers here. We have 5 reserve accounts. And in the special ed, there's 1.152 million in the special ed reserve account.
1.152
Yep. And change. I mean,
after the $400,000,
we'll be taking 400 and dropping it down to 800.
7152,
Yep,
715.
yep. And then
Okay.
the education stabilization, which we're also taking money from, 500, I think, 400, is 1.37 right now. So we would be dropping that down to under $1 million.
So you're at about 800K on that.
Yep.
How long did it take to build up those accounts? Do you know? I mean, you're relatively new. But
Well
any idea?
before my time here. So I think they were established maybe 15 years ago. And then each year, if we had fund balance, we were adding to them just for this type of happening that we would have. So we wouldn't be impacting taxpayers directly. We can use these to pad our budget, sort of.
The educational stabilization that was created two CBAs ago for the teachers, so that had that kind of
Is that
started.
about 500? Was that about 500,000
It
to
started
start?
with the 500,000.
And we're down to where on that now?
1.3 million.
It's gone up. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're drawing down on reserve funds for operations.
Correct. To keep our budget within the tax cap and our adequacy fund.
So these are kind of like one-time funds to go into reserves, going into operations now. So what's this trend analysis look like from at this early stage in the coming years?
So I don't have my crystal ball, and I'm not sure how education funding is going to change with the new budget and other things that are happening. But this is a stopgap for some time, but not forever, obviously, because if we have to dip into those reserves every year to make up that deficit, they'll go away pretty quickly. I mean, they don't, Mr. Champlin makes fun of me because I'm always the naysayer on things. I know that next year, in my heart, our adequacy is not going to increase. It's going to decrease again. And then maybe it's more breathing people that we have to cut at that point, because we can't sustain our fixed costs and our CBAs if we can't, correct this education funding snafu that we're in.
How do you cut people and give kids an adequate education?
That's where we're going to have a difficult time as time goes on. I mean, we're gonna do our best and use these reserve counts to maintain the high level of education that we provide our students for as long as we possibly can.
On another issue, this budget, how long did it take you to put this budget together?
Started working on this budget in early January.
And what's the vetting process through the school board for the budget?
So the Budget and Personnel Committee works with us throughout that whole process. There's presentations by all the schools. I have meetings with all the principals. We talk about wants and needs a lot, things like that. But the Budget and Personnel Committee vets it until we present it to the school board, which we did last week, the final budget. And it had probably 10 iterations.
10 iterations. Presentation to the school board. Do they vote on it?
They do,
Did they vote on this budget?
yes.
What was the budget vote?
7-0,
Unanimous.
unanimous.
So now the budget comes to the city council. 6 people vote on it, right?
Mhm.
Seems to me this budget is the penultimate of local control.
Pretty much.
Somehow you make it work.
We make it work, and like I said, my hairdresser makes money on it.
Are you familiar with HB 675 that was passed in the House?
If you give me the, I
Sure,
got
it's limiting authority of school districts to make certain appropriations.
Yes,
You are familiar with that?
yes.
So the gist of this is that instead of you exerting local control through the school board, face-to-face with students, probably face-to-face your school board members with parents and guardians, maybe people from Milan or Nashua, Leominster, wanted to decide exactly how much you can spend on your budget.
Yes. That, last I heard, did not pass.
It's been retained.
It's been retained, yeah.
Yeah, passed the House. But this was people in Concord who said they know better than you and your school board and your parents and guardians and your students, and that to some extent your out of control spending needs to be
Oh,
pulled in hard.
yes. I lose sleep a lot when I get weekly updates from New Hampshire School Boards Association and New Hampshire business officials about what's going on in the legislature, and it's scary.
Let me speak for me personally. I trust you to get it right.
Appreciate that.
Let me also make clear, I don't trust people in Concord to tell you how to spend the money that you have taken a commitment to spend wisely and prudently as good stewards and educators for our students. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for trying to keep all the balls in the air, so to speak. If there's any justice, we will not spend down your reserve accounts to zero, essentially running public schools out of business in the city of Laconia. We just hope
That's my hope, too.
that there is funding from the state and wiser people speak up on behalf of our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oops, any other questions? Be working on my crystal ball for.
Me both. There's no other business before the council. We'll adjourn the meeting here, the budget hearing at 6:26 p.m.